Daily military reports reported. The recent fighting in Kayah erupted on May 21, when Tatmadaw troops opened fire in residential areas of Damoso and arrested 13 people. The KPDF, at times supported by local armed groups, has since razed police stations, ambushed approaching troops and engaged in gun battles. The Tatmadaw has responded with continuous air and ground attacks on civilian areas. They are shooting everyone they see, said Banyu Kun Ong of the Karenni Human Rights Organization. Civilians have become hostages because of the political crisis. The KPDF claims to have killed more than 120 members of the Tatmadaw, according to Al Jazeera's tally of local media reports. Meanwhile, Yangon-based the Irrawaddy news website reported that at least 8 civilian fighters and 23 civilians were killed in Kayah and neighboring townships of Shan State between May 21 and 31.
To be honest with you, we are disappointed at the slow, very slow progress. Unfortunately, we know that there are still civilians who have been hurt or killed. There has been no release of political detainees. There has been no real sign of meaningful political dialogue and negotiation. So we'll have to watch this space. As I said, ASEAN's main role is not to interfere, because in the end, only the people themselves within Myanmar can determine its future. But ASEAN stands ready to help, to be supportive, to facilitate mediation if possible, but we'll have to wait and see. So, disappointing, but let's not give up hope.
Among civilian casualties were a young man shot in the head with his hands tied behind his back on May 24 in Loikaw Township and a 14-year-old boy shot dead in Loikaw Township on May 27, the latest of more than 73 children to be killed by the security forces, according to the National Unity Government. Churches have been repeatedly attacked in the predominantly Christian area. On May 24, 4 people were killed and at least 8 injured when heavy artillery struck a Catholic church in Loikaw Township where more than 300 villagers had sought refuge. The local community leader told Al Jazeera that on May 29, Tatmadaw forces raided a Catholic seminary in Loikaw where more than 1,300 civilians were sheltering, killed a volunteer cook and ate the food he had prepared. The same day, according to the community leader, the Tatmadaw raided and looted a Catholic parish house and convent in Damoso. On June 6, a Catholic church in Damoso called Queen of Peace, which had raised a white flag of peace, was damaged by artillery fire. If the churches are no longer safe for the people to take shelter and protection, where can we find safer places? Asked the community leader. The Tatmadaw has justified its attacks on temples, churches and administrative buildings by claiming that the facilities sheltered local rebels. Humanitarian access has been hampered by insecurity, roadblocks, landmine risks and lengthy or unclear approval processes, according to the UN. Local media has reported that the Tatmadaw has cut off access to Kayah State from Shan State as well as road access to Loikaw, the Kayah State capital. On June 3, the president of the International Committee of the Red Cross met Army Chief Min Aung Hlaing to share concerns on the current humanitarian situation in Myanmar and reinforce ongoing efforts to ensure space for neutral and impartial humanitarian action. In Kayah, the Tatmadaw has continuously attacked and threatened humanitarian workers trying to help those displaced in recent clashes. On May 26, security forces gunned down 2 youth delivering food from a church to displaced people in Damoso Township and arrested 3 volunteers who were returning from delivering assistance there. The next day, a volunteer youth with Free Burma Rangers, a Christian humanitarian group, was shot dead in Damoso Township while trying to assist civilians. A representative from the Karenni National Women's Organization, KNWO, a Kayah-based civil society organization that is monitoring the crisis, told Al Jazeera that Kayah's mountainous terrain is also posing a challenge to aid delivery. From above, it might look like displacement sites are near each other, but one place and another are far. You may even have to cross mountains, she said. As in other parts of the country experiencing mass displacement since the coup, she said that food insecurity was rising. On May 27, military snipers shot dead 2 young men in Damoso Township who were traveling back to their villages to get rice. People are afraid to go back to their houses to take necessities because they don't know where soldiers might be hiding or aiming their guns. Those trapped in cities and towns, including the elderly and disabled, are also facing trouble getting food, as curfews and ongoing violence leave them afraid to leave their homes. We buy food quickly. Other than that, we don't dare go out, because Tatmadaw, snipers can shoot us anytime, said a woman in Loika who spoke on condition of anonymity. I hear the sound of shooting all day. After the military began launching indiscriminate air attacks and shelling on her township of Damosa in Myanmar's southeastern Kayah state, also known as Karenni, everyone fled to the jungle. No one is left in Myanmar's village. With only the clothes on her back and a small tarpaulin for ground cover, Myanmar and the others from her village set up camp. She was running out of food and water, her clothes were drenched by heavy rains and she had not bathed in more than a week. But the biggest concern for Myanmar was her safety. Jets often fly overhead, she said. We have a lot of women and children here. I really worry because the military doesn't have humanity. They can kill us anytime. Ho, like several people interviewed for this article, spoke on condition of anonymity because the military continues to arrest and kill those who criticize or oppose it. Township is among several across Kayah and neighboring Shan state where locals have recently been forced to flee. According to UN estimates, between 85,000 and 100,000 people from Damoso, Loika and HPRUSO townships in Kayah State and Pekin and Shiseng in Shan State fled their homes in the 10 days following May 21, when fighting broke out between the Tatmadaw, as Myanmar's military is known, and a civilian resistance group calling itself the Karenni People's Defense Force, KPDF. The KPDF is among dozens of civilian defense forces to emerge since late March, while decades-long conflicts between ethnic armed organizations and the Tatmadaw have also reignited. In the first 2 months following a February 1 military coup, millions took to the streets demanding a return to civilian rule, but the Tatmadaw's continuous use of terror, it has so far killed 849 civilians and arrested more than 5,800, has pushed increasing numbers towards armed resistance.